call this meeting order at 18:30 hours. First item on the agenda would be a recognition of the public, which be the Conservation Committee with Linda Becker, Linda Lemke, Susan
James.
Karen Murphy, and Marley Rabinovich.
Yeah.
And Mike, back in the corner. Hi, thanks.
Yeah.
Welcome. Next time be approval of minutes of the last.
I'd like to make the motion that we approve the minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we move on to new business, which would be the Conservation Commission objectives and goals. I looked at your agenda and it's pretty heavy,
Yeah,
so we will give you 20 minutes.
good. We don't want more than that.
If you can do it quicker than that.
Yeah,
that'd
we
be
can do it
fine.
quicker. Here's a kind of a clear down. So I guess I'll start, but please, everybody else, feel free to contribute. One of the first things was to communicate with the board about our current membership list to make sure that it's accurate, and notice that we made a couple of our members have agreed to be emeritus, John Christensen and Jim Young, and we recently added Sue James, and we're hoping to add one additional member at the end of the school year in a couple of months. Can I say his name, you think? Can I say his name?
Sure.
Yeah.
He's agreed.
Yeah, Micah Depper has agreed, but he's finishing a teaching practicum.
Could you spell? Is it, or is it included on
No,
there?
it's not included there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Doesn't the select board actually have to appoint Susan?
Yes, we
Yes,
do.
well, this is our proposed
I was gonna
membership
get
list. Yes.
Okay.
We also would like to have written resignations from John and Jim as a formality. I mean,
Okay.
we can,
No, I don't.
And so we would like to talk a little bit about communication. What does the select board see as the best way to keep open communication with the Conservation Board? A little bit about the ancient roads, our current plans for 2013 regarding invasives and natural resource inventory. So that's it. So communication, Dick has in the past come to many of our meetings, and that was a great way to keep communications going. So will that continue, or do we have an alternative way of doing
it
it?
will. It will. I'll continue to come when I get my mind wrapped around things again. But yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we wanted to ask about a town website. I guess that's on a lot of people's minds now that the 8th grade is moving out.
We don't have a timeline on that. We are committed to a town website through this Minnesota company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Gov Office is the company that will be building our website for us.
Great.
And I want to say maybe 70 plus towns throughout the state use them.
Did you say the name of them again?
www.govoffice.com.
Oh, okay.
So if you Googled it, you could get a feel.
Great. Well, that's something we're really in favor of. We've been using Guilford Online to the extent that anybody in town uses it, thanks to Marley posting notices about events. So that's great. Ancient roads. I think we've reached a point where there's a lot of data that needs to be entered in a kind of a data entry way, and there was a question about how that would happen. And Bill is the one who knows the most about that. But
Yeah. We are at this point narrowed down to picking 2 roads to start with that are not problematic to plot. And actually the one that we walk from my house over to the cemetery has been plotted, and it's almost perfect from the original. Yeah. I think on the south end is 130 feet difference from where we come out and where the road shows up on the plot. But I think it's the top of the hill versus where we went through the maples. So was that difference in that one? Yeah, I was surprised that came out.
okay. And what was the other one?
The other one we haven't
Oh, we haven't picked that one.
somehow, again, that I sort of dropped the ball. There were several roads over through there, and we gotta pick, what do you want, one more to immediately plot, and then we're gonna do the 5 or 6 most promising ones that are actually roads. And it's too late now to go back through and research all of them again. We're just gonna take the research that was done. And a lot of those that are on the map that you folks did early on are no longer viable to do. So,
Well, let's see, what was it, the issue was that we had data that Jeff Nugent needed in another kind of format that had to be entered into a program that would convert it. And it was a kind of a tedious task, and we were trying to figure out the best way to find either a volunteer or a fully paid person to do that data entry.
and I believe Bill has the software to do that.
Well, he has a software, yes, but the data has to be entered, and I think that's the sticking point.
And is there a budget for it? Or is there a plan?
I think it's just sort of a plan, and there's no money set aside specifically for that project, no.
Your money that you have coming in fiscal year 14, I would
Yes.
assume that that's going to be heavily dedicated to invasives? Is that the
Well, the
plan?
thing is, it's really not up to the Conservation Commission to be budgeting money to do the ancient road data entry. That really is
That's not
select
us.
board, not us.
Okay.
Because, we actually had somebody in mind who would do data entry, but all of a sudden I realized, whoops, it's not ours to do.
All right, I wasn't
It
clear.
doesn't
on
come out of our
what the
budget, or
project-
shouldn't come out of our budget.
Okay.
No.
No, is that correct, Dick?
Then yes, we'll find money to do that.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
We've only got one more year to do it, so I mean, we gotta get,
Yeah, and we wanted to make sure that that was on the table. Regarding our current plans, our 2 big projects, as Katie just mentioned, invasives are on the top of the list, and we just looked at the potential of a grant and decided it was too much work too fast to apply for this year, but we'd try to use the protocols and questions from the grant application to guide our work this year, and maybe if what we do this year tells us there's still a lot more to be done, in future years we'll apply for that grant. It was called a Working Together
Yeah.
grant. And it came with all the stipulations and responsibilities of a big federal grant, lots of collaboration, lots of in-kind donations, lots of budgets and work plans, and we're just not ready to bite off that big of a piece. But we are looking at spending some of our current budget on some tools, to have a lending library of tools and some consultations. So we make it, we have a $700 something in our budget remaining for this year. We may spend some of that right away on tools just to get the project rolling.
I spoke with Marley while we were doing dishes yesterday at the brunch, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
said that you guys were going to do a booth at the 6th of July event, and I will promise that I will get you that tree that's that big with that big of bittersweet choking on it. So I will have that, so you can have that for a.
Okay, I'll put you down for that.
Yeah.
Is that an informational booth? Is that
Yeah.
the...
Yeah.
Okay.
And if we have our tools by then, they'll be there because we're hoping there'll be something that people can borrow for heavier work and then return. And probably just giant pry bar kind of tools
Yeah.
is what we're looking at.
So information and resources.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so at our meeting this Thursday, we're going to look at the list of recommended tools and make some choices and maybe commit to buying some. A related item was there are not only invasive plants, but there are invasive insects, and we circulated a notice on Guilford Online about trying to find a first detector for insect pests for Guilford. And so I guess anything the select board could do to tell people about this plan, help us locate somebody. It's a volunteer position that has some really great training programs, but it's somebody who's kind of like a fire tower watcher, except they're watching for signs of insects like the emerald ash borer.
They put the blue bug catchers out this year yet, have they?
Not yet. I
They're
don't think.
purple.
I saw one somewhere.
I haven't
I haven't seen any yet, but
Cause they usually put a couple up by, one up by
I saw one
Marley and one.
yesterday, so. They don't always put them in the same places every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're on their way, apparently.
So anything you can do to, if you come across people who might be interested or looking for a really fulfilling volunteer activity, we'll continue to circulate that on Guilford Online and among our members, but so far nobody's stepped up that I'm aware of, so. But that's the other thing we have to look out for. And being a border town, we're pretty susceptible.
Yeah, especially someone's out in the woods a lot that can,
Yeah.
pick up the hemlocks or look at the ash trees.
Somebody who would do that?
Yeah.
You'd
Yeah.
want to be paid.
Oh.
The hemlock ones don't kill the tree.
Yeah,
Yes,
but we
they
still
do.
want to just keep.
Well, yeah, and I didn't realize that. I always thought that they killed the tree, and they said,
I
no,
think
they
they
just,
can.
they
The
just.
woolly adelgid?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, they do. Oh, yes,
Not
they
according
do.
to Mr. Gunther. He said that they weaken it considerably. But, said that they don't.
Making it to death.
Well.
They don't all die, but some of them. And the other work that we're doing is we are trying to mobilize a natural resources inventory a group to take advantage of some of the great maps that are already out there, but to try to do a baseline inventory for Guilford so we can be mapping changes as they occur over the next decades. And there's a committee to do that, of which Bill is the chair, the working chair. And I think that was it for the items on the agenda, but this would be a great opportunity for us, the rest of us, to address issues and for you to ask us questions.
Yeah, first I have to apologize to Susan. I did know her last name, but
God, I hope so.
senior moment.
That's all right. It gets worse, Dick, I'll just tell you. On names.
Yeah.
You were going to continue with the walks, I
Oh,
presume?
yes, absolutely. And the next one is this Saturday, not Sunday, at 2 from Karen's
At our house.
At Karen's house.
Sure,
So come to our house.
can't.
Mm.
It's a funeral.
Yeah.
Sorry. Another time you could take
That is the 18th, right?
Yes, it is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
18th.
it was funeral day. Oh, yeah, I want to get back in them, yeah. And we also want to finish that one we started last fall that we never
Yeah.
completed. Well, you guys got chasing the vernal pool and we lost track of where we were.
Right.
Yeah.
Here, I'd just like to add one thing. The two projects that Linda mentioned, with the invasive species and a natural resource inventory, both of them are big projects that
Yeah.
are multi-year projects.
Right.
And if you all run across any people who are volunteers or are interested and wouldn't necessarily want to be on a commission that meets every month, but might want to be on a subcommittee for either of those two. They're both really interesting projects, and we get people out in the woods a lot. So, and the natural resource inventory has been slowed down a little bit because we really do have to deal with the invasive species, but they kind of go hand in hand. And but if you hear of anyone that really is interested in that sort of thing.
Putting something in the school newsletters?
We did on Knotweed.
We did, well, on the
Gazette.
not with the school newsletter, something different than the
Yeah.
Gazette, right?
Yeah, it goes home every week to parents, and I think that you might capture, if you say, not looking to serve, but just volunteer, I think that you might,
Oh, that's
you
a-
could do that.
oh yeah, certainly.
That would be.
And then it'll go to parents, and then they might be wanting to, there's also
Yeah, that's
Guilford
actually a
Groves
great idea.
where-
First detector that.
Grove,
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there might be people out there that
Yeah.
have interest in this, or even somehow it touches their world through work
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
and could lend their
Yeah.
skills
I
in
did,
a
I did submit.
non-committing kind of way.
I submitted a last-minute article to the Gazette about the first detector, but it was technically after their deadline. I don't know if they didn't acknowledge getting it, so I don't know if it's going to come out.
Linda, you?
I can add a few things about invasive species. We began, as you probably know, by identifying 5 species that we want to focus on. We produced that brochure to begin our education outreach, and we did our exhibition at town meeting. And we've also shared that exhibition at a regional conservation commission thing. And when Marley's talking about July 6th, we'd like to continue setting that up to get people's attention. So we thought the Guilford Fair would be another place.
Yeah.
we continue to educate ourselves. So I attended a meeting last month of cooperative invasive species management organizations in the Connecticut River watershed. So we're aware now of other cooperative efforts going on up and down the river and how we fit in our informal way. And it also helps us understand other resources. I picked up a lot of printed information that other organizations have put together. I should say that we were really pleased with the way the voting and the discussion went at town meeting about invasive species. And it was thanks to John Christensen who had that idea that maybe the best way to get attention or to bring it to the table is at a town meeting discussion. So thanks for Dick's support in getting that off the ground. And we continue to work with Brian Colleran, who last year was hired by the state Fish and Wildlife to do post-Irene knotweed work. And this year he was hired again, and his title is Invasive Species Biologist. And it's a 1-year position or a 9-month position. But anyway, he called a couple of weeks ago and said that he could get another Vermont Youth Conservation Corps down here for a couple of days. So they arrived Saturday they're camping again at our cabin. And today and tomorrow they're working on the Green River, looking at the sites that they worked last year to see if the removal was effective last year and to sort of survey any continuing problems. So it's a really nice group of young people. And in the process, I contacted about 8 landowners, and all are very supportive of this work that we're doing. And it's a good way to keep the conversation going. So we will continue. Our work in the year ahead is how to spend the money we have, and I think it's going to be a combination of inviting experts to come and do demonstrations, buying the tools, thinking of educational outreach. So,
Should I add the part about the 5 demo sites we're sort of mulling over this summer?
yeah,
We had, or somebody had, the idea that we would pick a site for each of those 5 plant invasive species that we are concentrating on, and have, like an afternoon of somebody, an expert about how to remove these things or just what they are and how you deal with them, and then perhaps have some of those tools there so that we can do it. So we identified 5 sites, like for instance the multiflora rose would be at John Christensen's because that's such a problem there, and knotweed somewhere along the Green River would be another one. So that's still in the planning stages.
So like workshops?
Yeah,
Yes.
demonstration workshops. at
for
sites.
landowners.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that we can begin.
So if we had the town website up and running at that point, we could actually advertise that there. Communication is kind of difficult in some way.
Anyone? I would, Troy, I'd entertain a motion to appoint Susan James.
I would like to make the motion to elect Susan James to the Conservation Commission.
All in favor?
That'd be aye.
I just want to give it a
Welcome aboard.
See you Thursday?
What was the name
Thursday
of that
is
gentleman?
Friday, yeah, I'll be here.
Brian
Colleran?
No,
well,
Mike.
the other conservation commission
Potential.
appointee.
Yeah,
Potential.
appointee. Micah, M-I-C-A-H. Micah.
You didn't run Linda off, she had to leave.
And the last name?
DEPPER.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I totally
If
didn't
you can
have
take
that
one,
right.
And the other person we've been working with is, he's at Fish and Wildlife, and he offered to conservation commissions to put together a set of natural resources maps. And so we took him up on it, and he's given them to us by email, and he's coming to, I think, our June meeting to talk about how these maps may help with planning, conservation commissions. So any of you who might be interested in that,
These
will
are
let you know.
really good maps.
Yeah, they're very cool maps.
Okay, Phil. I'll try to get back on my schedule to come into your meetings by then.
That would be nice. There's one this Thursday.
Yeah.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much,
for the update.
everybody. Now it gets really quiet. There's no.
Algiers Fire District #1 Commonwealth Dairy Wastewater Collection System usage increase. They're going to how much?
They are going from 60,000 per agreement to 80,000.
Whoa.
Okay.
And this was anticipated, so it's kind of more a formality than anything else. And since this kind of whole transition where Algiers Fire District engaged in the wastewater collection system usage agreement, the town is a party to that. So now when there are changes to it, the town has to also be a party to the changes. So if you would.
Is that
Some
going to
motion.
make the smell 20% more down there around the store?
What that problem is all about. That's right, Stinky. I don't think that has to.
I'd like to make the motion that we accept the increase,
Approve it?
approve it, from 60 to 80,000 for the Commonwealth Dairy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Emergency management. You said Herb might be here or might
you.
not.
He said he would be here, but
Okay, well, we'll skip it for
okay,
the moment.
kind of.
Extension request for lodging of the grand list. That's a request on the list is that usually happens every year. Need a quick motion on that.
I'd like to make the motion that we request the extension of lodging of the grand list for the listers. And I take it this is in because of with the Devil Frank and everything like that, Richard?
Yeah, that's okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you guys just mind signing by the X? There's no signature line, so if you don't mind going there, and I'll type your names on. One on there. That's okay. Actually, we need Lisa's signature on it.
Well, I didn't get to shake Dan's hand yesterday. He was at the brunch.
Oh, was he?
Yes.
That's good.
Good. That was scary. Very scary. That's when rumors are a bad
I have to
thing.
move on the fight because you know me, I had to be in my little library painting review of estimates.
Okay, so we've gone a little bit back and forth on the library painting. Originally, the trustees had gotten the estimates and they had made a decision, and then we kind of relooked at the estimates, and then it was decided that since it's a town building, that it makes sense that the town take the bids
Right.
and do that. So, and especially where we're paying for it. So we received 3 estimates originally. One was from Raymond Blow from Dummerston. One was from Hawk and Brush, and one came in from Dolores Clark. And the Hawk and Brush got ruled out because they can't do it this year.
Okay.
So that kind of really messes up the plan. Sorry, something in my eye. And the original estimate that came in from Raymond Blow was lower, and then he re-looked at it, and there was work in Hawk and Brush, because those were the first 2 originally. It was hard to compare apple to apple. And Dolores came in with her estimate, which was really clear, very easy to understand, and we know right what we'll be billed for and what will be charged for. Where this one is not really as clear. Sorry to be picking my eye. I can't really see out of it.
Was there a determination, was there any lead paint on that building?
We haven't even gotten that far yet,
Yeah.
but we're going to assume that
They're
there is.
they're
We have to
certified
assume that there
anyway,
is.
yeah.
Does these painters all
Both.
have their,
Yeah.
they have their certificates?
Yep.
Oh, yes.
They're all set.
Yeah.
So Dolores, her estimate is more money, but I'm inclined to think that we're going to get a better quality of product.
Can I see the request,
Sure,
please?
absolutely. And like I said, you're welcome to look at Hawk and Brush, but it's not really a option unless you wanted to put it off. So she's kind of the middle of the road if you were to take all 3 of them as possibilities, just in terms of price.
And with the fact that she's gonna be driving by it every
I
day.
think so.
it-
She lives here. She's a friend of the library.
And you do have their certificates on file?
I don't have their certificates on file, but I'll be happy to make sure that there is one.
I think we need to see their certificates first,
Okay,
just to be on the safe side.
sure. I'd be happy to.
What's the timeline on that?
What do you mean?
The sooner it gets started, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as we call and select who, we can start to schedule, because we'd like to get them started this year.
I would make the motion that as long as it's tested to make sure that there is no lead, and if there is lead, and that they both have their certificate, that I make the motion that we, now, we're looking just one of those, right?
One or the other.
That we give the job to Dolores Clark.
All in favor?
Aye.
And also, I would love to get an estimate from her for painting the old town hall, because that is in pretty rough shape. I don't know if you've kind of observed the paint
Yeah.
when you went out to look at the roof. It's pretty rough. Like, there's bare spots. The windows are almost all peeling off with exposed bare wood. There's lots of peeling. Oh yeah, I would say it needs a paint job as bad as the library. So I don't know if she would be willing to maybe entertain the idea of taking on 2 projects. I don't know what her time is like.
Wouldn't want to do them both same year probably anyway.
I don't know if she could do prep work. Do you know what I'm saying? Or if it was
I'm sure, yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know what her schedule is or what
She's
she
been in
does for
business
work.
a long time doing that.
Okay. So it would be great to just pick her brain about that and see what she thinks about the old town hall.
Old Town Hall, Historical Society roof repairs. I met with Travis Slade and Rick Wheeler Saturday morning. Travis has been involved in that roof for years, way back when Walter Greenleaf was still alive. He mentioned that as a point of starting, and I don't know how many years ago Walter died, but it was a long time ago. And he said that roof has a tendency to spring these weird leaks. He said they're hard to find and hard to repair. And as far as your entryway goes, where the major leak is now, he said the old Guilford slate are crumbly and breaking, and he said the best thing to do is to take those slate off and put on a different slate. And he may have some available at a reduced price. He's going to send a bid to the office. We can look at it at a later date. I also asked him at the time about looking at all a yearly inspection of all of the buildings. He said, of course. Said he would do it, and if there's nothing to do with no charge.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Travis is good at doing
Yeah.
slate roof repairs. I know
And I
that.
think that would kind of cover that text on the current conditions and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is an example of a paint job on the window. It
Yeah.
looks pretty bad.
I would
And then-
be willing to guarantee that just scares me.
Can I get a picture?
Sure. Can you see that?
And it is what?
The old town hall, Guilford Historical Society. So do you want pictures of the roof damage? Are you interested in seeing that?
Those are the same ones what you sent
Did I
out by
send
email,
them?
right? Where we got all the leaks and stuff like that. And
The hole in the ceiling?
yeah.
No.
Okay. Very good.
So if we can get a painter and a roofer to look at the buildings every year, we sort of got that
Well,
next item covered.
it would be great if we could have somebody with a little structural, because it looks like the foundation is cracked in a couple of points.
A lot of those are field stones, isn't it, Dick?
Well, no, it's
No,
masonry.
it's masonry.
Yeah. I was gonna if you were in favor of it, I was gonna do
Actually,
some research and see what I could
I
learn.
almost think Travis mentioned that he did some of that work too, so he might be an all around. Unless somebody local wants to
Well,
jump
that's what I
in
was wondering,
and
if
do
maybe
it.
somebody would take that on, or
Yeah.
if you were in favor of it, it would be great to take all of the town properties, have each one of them looked at, similar to what we recommended for the cemeteries, that you do what the current conditions are, what the needs are, and then put a maintenance program together so that we're not getting slammed with a roof repair that we could
Right.
have maybe prepared for a little bit better. just kind of part of planning.
So we'll do a little fishing expedition on that.
Yeah,
See
I just,
somebody.
if you didn't want to do it, then I didn't want to spend any time.
Yeah.
So-
All right, it's
But
better
if you-
to
yeah, I
keep
think
proactive than is
positive.
reactive, yeah.
Yep.
Policy adoption, accounting, auditing,
Yes.
financial reporting policy, fraud prevention policy, balanced budget policy.
My eyes was going cross after I got done reading some of these, by the way.
So in other words, all you gotta do is make a motion and we accept them, right?
Well,
I can give you a little background.
I was gonna
Does that
say,
help?
yeah,
These are 3 policies that are encouraged each year during our audit that we have, both our town audit and our professional audit. We first talked about them in 2010, and we they collected some dust, so they got resurrected with a new date, and some updating. And I went over them with Penny, and where she serves as treasurer. They're pretty standard.
they're
We do
pretty standard boilerplate
Absolutely.
for VLCT, right?
Pretty much,
VLCT,
pretty
whatever you
much,
call
yep.
those guys up there.
There's stuff that we're pretty much already doing anyway, but it puts it on a piece of paper signed by you guys in agreement with the town treasurer that we get to hand to an auditor, and they check us off a list.
And it's just gonna
And they're
save
good
our
best
ass.
practices, is really what they are. Fraud prevention is, it just allows for a reporting mechanism for anybody in town who thinks anybody who works for the town who thinks that there's fraudulent activity taking place. It designates our town auditor as a
Mhm.
person to report it to. Balanced budget, we do a balanced budget every year.
Right.
That we do automatically anyway, it just kind of holds our beat to it. And then the other one is just the way in which we report. Auditing and accounting, that we would have an audit every 2 years at minimum. We do it every year. That financial reports are available whenever needed. It's pretty standard.
Well, with that said, I'd like to make the motion that we adopt the accounting, auditing, and financial policy, fraud prevention policy, and balanced budget policy.
All in favor?
Aye.
I brought one pen here.
I know. It's gonna run out of
We
ink.
have one right in hand. There's plenty. Thank you. I'm so excited. How sad is that? Look at that, man.
Another thing-
Right before
another-
June 30th.
Another thing
Nick
to
of
check
time.
off the list.
Absolutely.
Ann would be so proud of us.
She would.
Guilford Fire Department auxiliary boot dock request 9/2/13.
This is for the Guilford Fair Days, right?
That's it.
Yep. And they're gonna have the safety cones out and be
Always.
vigil and everything like that.
I will read. How's that? Once again this year, the auxiliary will be holding boot drop. We'll be setting up in front of the fire station again this year. We'll be holding this event 7:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. on Monday, September 2nd. As always, all participants will be wearing orange vests, and the area will be marked with signs and orange cones. Should you have any more questions, feel free to give me a call, Heidi.
Do you need a motion on that?
Yeah.
I'd like to make the motion that we allow the auxiliary to have their boot drop request. Their boot drop.
All in favor?
Aye.
US Route 5 Bridge, local and regional input questionnaire of the Route 5 Bridge, which has been beat on for years, is finally moving up the fast track to be replaced. Right now it's held together with a steel rod, so I would guess they probably are gonna move it right along pretty quick. This is a questionnaire of what impact it have on the town, emergency services, events and whatever that we need to fill out, basically, I guess.
It's pretty lengthy, actually.
Most of them are no, but, yeah.
Who's gonna be filling that out? You gonna be filling that out?
Yeah.
Could I ask you to get a hold of the school and touch base with them?
Yes.
Because they're gonna have to put some input in, because if they don't put a bridge in before they start that construction, that's gonna be a heck of a ride for this kid down Route 5.
They'd probably do it during the summer months.
And I've seen some of the construction runs through.
I know. Well, one of the things that they're doing through state bridge projects is not putting a temporary bridge in.
Yeah.
And it trims time and money hugely.
Hugely.
Wow.
And there again,
And they're doing their own projects as well,
yeah.
which,
And there again, they have an escape route down up Keatsbrook Road up within our roads.
Yeah.
and down through Vernon. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of.
There's a lot of ways to go.
There
yeah.
are. I mean,
But
it,
it's just it's a pain for the people on the other side of that brook. But you
it
know,
is.
in order to
But
get it
it's-
done, I mean, it's got to be done. I
Yeah,
mean,
and it's
there's
they could
businesses
get it
down
done in
through
2.5
there.
months, or they could stretch it over a couple of years.
right. Yeah.
And that's an aggravation.
Right.
You know, I don't know. Would you rather have 21 days of aggravation of it really being closed, or 2 years of backups and flaggers and
Yep.
so? But yeah, no. There's actually quite a bit of digging. I started with Jared today to get some input of how it would affect emergency services, because one of the things I wouldn't even have thought of is that they need to respond to I-91,
Right.
the Welcome Center,
Right.
a fair amount, and so
Yeah, but they had there was a spell with it, they had to go to exit 1 to get on anyway, so it wouldn't have,
sure. And I mean, it's really just presenting
yeah.
the hurdles and all the obstacles and how you kind of get around it. So
Well, that's when I looked through it, there's most of the answers in there, no, but,
Yeah.
I think we ought to put a little basket on the other side. That way, when they open the store and I run out of beer or milk, Dick can go on the other side of the store, and I'll just.
a zip line.
Oh.
Sure, we'll see if that's somewhere in here, but they have suggestions.
I think, you know, that photo in BY calendar of the covered bridge
Might have been there.
might have been there, so we could request a covered bridge back there.
Yeah, right. I'll tell Dan you
Oh,
said
you
that.
didn't like that idea? Oh, I didn't.
You don't want to get on the subject of covered bridges tonight, Dick?
Yeah.
Why? The other one's moving right along.
Old business. 2013 high-risk rural roads program requirement.
You already signed this. Is really more of a formality. It's just the when they were looking at the the Weatherhead Hollow area, it was saying that if we were selected for that, we would follow all the requirements of the program. And we weren't, so
I don't think we'd be selected for that one. We were
No.
once, and it's still a high-risk area. Lost Land Record Project, request from Penny Marine.
she kind of a flashback. Remember when we had the issue with ACS where there was all that stuff? There were still the books that need to get basically reconstructed, 2.5 books. That it got to a certain point and it's just been at a standstill, and it's really time and resources, and she would like to use some of the preservation money to hire somebody to get it done. So if you would support her in that or not, that's what she was looking to do.
There's money. In
Yeah,
there.
there is.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Well,
$10,000 in there.
We need to get. Well, we do need to get that done. That way the
Yeah.
books are up to. Do you want a? Well, you know what? Let's. No. I make the motion that we support and authorize Penny to.
She's looking for about 500 hours it would take.
Wow.
And about 20 hours a week.
Wow.
Yeah. But, get it done right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Let's. I make
Okay.
the motion that we support her and 100% whatever we can do to get the books back up to be right.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Partridge Road Trailer Park, a resident approached me the other day and said that it would be nice, that the trailer park actually had a nice location and it would be a good place for senior citizens. He said he might even move there himself when the time comes. And this is not up for a vote or anything like that. I just told him I would put it in motion, and he said if you could get 10 or 12 double-wide modular homes up there. Of course, the problem before was water and sewage, and I believe water would be available now. And I think they're hooked on to, or supposed to be hooked on to the LGA Fire District. Am I right?
Yes, they are. They have sewer, no water.
They are, okay, yeah. So it's just put it out there, just, if I might put it out there and let it float. So, it can't, the issue with it is if it's a federal subsidized grant project, it takes on a whole different perspective than if some local
Developer.
individual bought it and fix it up.
Okay, you put it out there to float.
So I put it out there to float.
Let it float.
Let it float. Yeah. Highway.
Dan said he would be here.
Wow.
All right, so
Should I call him?
No, I was gonna say, do you want me to text?
Yes. Text him and ask him
Okay.
where Daniel is.
we,
Daniel.
we could go back up and do herb stuff too. I was waiting for Dan. The emergency management, Herb Meyer. Potential sale of the van. We had the bright idea a few years ago to buy a handicap accessible van that sits out here in the parking lot. It doesn't get used. It's just sitting there rotting away. And we're trying to come up with either to sell that one and get a small, like an airport bus, hold a dozen people or so, would that be more effective than the van, or something that would get some use anyway. The van out there is good. It would seat a couple people and somebody in a wheelchair, so it doesn't really fit the needs of what we have. So that is the question that he's presenting to us. Should he sell that van and try for something else? I think it's sitting out there and rotten. If we can sell it, we might as well.
It's not rotting, it's in great shape. For anybody who's watching who might want to buy it.
Yeah.
It is a great,
Oh, I'm sorry.
it is a great vehicle. It's
Yeah.
been tenderly cared for by the town of Guilford.
To use a term one of my coworkers used to use, he'd buy something and tinker with it and say, better than new, better than new. So, yeah.
So
No, it is in good shape, but it's just an awkward vehicle to drive.
it is. It's been cared for. It just doesn't get used
Yeah,
enough.
yeah.
So the second point that's on there, future planning
Yeah.
/ collaboration, small bus.
I sort of wandered over into that, but I didn't get to the.
Sure.
He had one, the shuttle bus on the airport. He had one lined up for $5,000, and it disappeared now. But we didn't have the money to buy it, or at that time, I guess the authorization anyway. But
Would there ever be a situation where the school and the town could partner on buying a small vehicle?
Don't look at me.
I'm not. I'm looking at you as a select board member. Do you know what I mean? Not at school. I'm saying that to maximize resources, minimizing funds.
I would think that if it was 12, and I don't know what they carry, 12 or 15 passenger little shuttle buses,
I don't know enough about
something like that.
Something like that.
If that was sitting out there and the school had 12 or 15 kids to transport somewhere, that I would hope that they would consider using that.
Sure. No, I'm just saying like a small,
Yes,
Size
small group,
bus,
rather than
yeah.
take that big bus. and-
absolutely. And if they had a field trip or whatever, that
You have
If
to
there
be
was-
careful because if it's a 15 passenger bus, you're going to have a CDL.
I'm just saying if
yeah.
it's worth looking into. My fear is that we'll buy a cheap vehicle that will feel like it'll meet our needs, and we'll be just sinking money into it hand over fist.
Yeah.
Where if we bought a little bit better, and we came up with a plan of a usage plan for it and a schedule, so that Guilford Cares could use it. That there could be senior. Maybe even
Right.
the church could use it. Like, I don't know, that it was available to, and could even get scheduled somehow to have regular use. That it might be worth maybe some people coming to the table together
Yeah.
to purchase something
I
that's
think
more.
our neighboring town has one that they take senior citizens to lunch, after shopping once a week and all that, so it'd be something that might be able to work.
Is that the brand one?
Sure. Or could, if somebody were willing, could shuttle people from the Grange to the store for bus routes? I'm just totally brainstorming, not anything that,
Yeah.
I was just saying, I know that
Bottom line is it would have a lot more uses than.
it
than
would
that
if we
one.
got something more practical and maybe it was a little bit more money. I didn't know if the school would, if it's worth having a conversation
I don't know, that'd be something what we'd have to
around
address with the
budget
school
time or
board.
something. Yeah, and I don't know if there's ever gonna be, if enrollment declines more, if it makes sense to have a smaller bus. But they're not ready to get a newer, I don't know.
See, when they
Just
do
trying to think ahead.
when they do the bridge on Route 5, they could have it on the south side to make that run down.
Or they could just sit a bus there
Yeah,
and you could walk across the
yeah,
bus.
see that, probably got a use for it. I would entertain a motion as to the sale, if you think that's the proper thing to do, and the rest of it we will put on hold
Yeah.
for table for.
I would make the motion for a potential sale of the van.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have heard back from Dan, huh?
Hang on, my phone's on silent, so he might have.
Well, we,
This is when I go back. Nothing. Just a bubble.
we had a meeting for our road money Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
so that we
Yes.
can sign that, right?
Yep. We sat down with John Alexander from
Yeah.
the District 2 office and went through, it's not like you have a big discussion about it, to be honest. They tell you how much money you get per mile of Class 2 road and how much you get per mile for Class 3 roads, and the numbers kind of shake themselves out, so they were good with it. We follow the statutory requirement of spending, what is it, $15 or $30 per mile?
Per mile, yeah.
So,
We do well, we do well.
yeah,
We do.
you said like
Yep.
15,000.
I'll make that.
I want to make the motion to sign the V-Trans road and bridge standards.
No,
Adopt it.
the annual financial form.
Oh, the annual financial form.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
We'll get to that one next.
Okay.
Just two
Well,
copies.
you're jumping all over the place here, Richard.
Well, I'm trying to keep busy until Dan or Herb or somebody gets here,
Just to allow Dick to sign that form.
Yes.
Just that one
Allow
one
that
to
one
sign.
form.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't worry, you'll have to sign the next one.
Uh, Uniform municipal excess weight permits, we can do that one.
That's for Emery Trucking from East Emerston, usual restrictions.
Yes, I'd like to make the motion that we,
Weird form.
God, I just drew a blank. Who was it again?
Emery Trucking?
Wayne
That
Emery.
we allow Emery Trucking a excess weight permit, barring all the standard, don't drive it through the bridge, unless you really want to.
Okay. Finances, do the finances.
So, okay, let me just see if he is indeed coming. If he's not, then we'll just get this out of the way. Okay, yeah, so I guess we'll wait. I had sent a memo around about some fiscal year 13 line item transfers. You want a copy of it to refresh your brains? The first one was moving some money from technical support and from assistant town clerk into the bookkeeper position. Because when we originally did the fiscal year 13 budget, the way that the hours for bookkeeper versus assistant town clerk and the wages, that decision hadn't been made yet. So it was still the 50-50 split. So there's a false representation the way the budget is currently presented in terms of what the actual need is. So I was going to move money from those line items into the bookkeeper position so that our history reflects a truer performance to budget that actually was versus the way it currently is presented, which is inaccurate. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense.
Okay.
I know we have talked about this.
Yes. Where if we left it as it is right now, it would look like the bookkeeper is grossly over budget and the assistant town clerk is grossly under budget.
Right.
And we had talked about that hiring Peter in that capacity would offset some of the money that we typically would have spent in technical support for NEMRIC, which has happened. So it moves that money into the appropriate place. So that's the first one. Number 2 is each year in our budget, money is in the town clerk category is budgeted for record preservation. And each year that I do this, I learn a little bit more when I dig a little bit deeper into the past. And what I could see in the past is that the money that was left over in the preservation at the fund, in the preservation line item at the end of the year, Barb used to move it into the preservation fund.
Right.
We haven't been doing that because, quite frankly, I didn't know we did do that. So I'm asking it this year, we move the balance into the preservation fund, which is a separate fund that, for example, when Penny wants to do the land record project, she has $10,000 in the preservation fund. That's money that is built up there through the fees that she collects in recording. So Barb used to move the remainder of the budget money from the select board budget into that fund. So I'm just asking that we do that at year end.
Okay.
That's the first one. And then as we start fiscal year 14, I would like to take the whole line item and transfer it to the preservation fund right at the beginning of the year. Similar to how we do to capital, similar to how we do, because then all of our expenses for preservation will get run through the preservation fund, rather than some through the general fund and some through the preservation fund, where if you say, well, how much do we spend annually on preservation, you'd have to look in 2 places right now versus one. So that's kind of our next, and there's a separate cash account for that, which we're trying to see if we have to have it as a separate cash account, and if we don't, dump it in so that we only have to reconcile
Some
one
of that
statement.
money comes from the state, right? None of it?
None.
No,
Just the
I think
reappraisal
so.
money comes from the state. Yeah, we don't get any record preservation money from the state.
Yeah, right.
And then the last, number 3, is that there's going to be a significant amount of money left over in the lister's budget, in the salary line, due to Frank's passing. And I would like to have the salary money kicked over into the reappraisal fund for our unfunded mapping project, or just for reappraisal.
I think we should put that into the reappraisal. That's going to be the big one of the next big things that we
And
have
we should start
coming up.
budgeting for it on a regular basis.
Yeah. Sounds like a plan. Is that happy with, does that satisfy everybody's curiosity as far as transferring that money into reappraisal? I mean, I know it's ours to do what with. But,
Yeah. What do you mean, like the
listers, do they
Well,
have
they
a
lose it.
preference? Yeah. Yeah, we need to do the mapping. There's no.
Yeah.
We've raised money to do the mapping and
we took it
cut money to
away?
do the mapping, and raised money to do the mapping.
Right. And I mean, it puts it in that place. We're going to need probably more money than what we have there for reappraisal anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's in the reappraisal?
I don't know off the top of my
pretty
head.
close to 100.
I'd
right?
say over. And we
Over.
just got our money today. I have to do the entry for
Okay,
it.
so I'm inclined to try to to be different, to put it in the mapping, but it's up to, if we're gonna get it done, and that's the thing. Can we wait on that one until we find out if they can do the mapping or will do the mapping, which gonna cost us,
And money will just sit there.
yeah.
It doesn't, it's not like it will have a deadline on it.
Yeah, but I mean, if we designate tonight, it's gonna go to one place or the other, right?
Well,
We-
there's no reserve fund for mapping. If you recall, when originally we were going to fund it, and then we decided that we would 50-50 fund it.
Yeah,
So 55,000 I think was through the town, and then 5,000 was coming from the reappraisal fund. So that was the fund that was going to hold the cash for mapping no matter what. Or you can wait. You don't have to decide on any of these things tonight.
I prefer to wait on that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, okay, that's fine.
yeah.
Want to just keep going?
Yeah.
Shall we? Okay. We had an emergency response line that we had in there that we will have at the end of the year $783 in there. And I didn't know if you wanted to establish a reserve fund to put money into specifically for the purposes of emergencies. For example, paying emergency workers, food for emergency workers.
What was the response to that at town meeting? It
was in the budget.
Yeah, and there was no
Nope,
discussion about
Not
it
at
at
all.
all, not at all.
not at all. And I know that we voted to create a reserve fund, which is just like a savings. This specifically saves this money in the event of an emergency. Not that you wouldn't use that other money, you might need it for other, but this, just food for thought, that it would protect that unspent money each year and just carry it over to build a fund. Or not. Just, if it doesn't.
I'm trying to think back of the wording of what was in the budget, how that was worded. That reserve fund.
That's a fund balance reserve.
Yeah, the fund balance
Mhm.
reserve.
And that's to kind of, it could be used for anything, but it's to really cushion the blow if we have a deficit
Okay,
year.
that was written.
Or
We never
it's
made
like having a savings.
we never made a policy to go with that.
We have to
did.
do that.
We did.
Well, I have one, but it's not approved yet.
Not approved yet.
Yeah. I needed to get the
Okay.
3 easy ones out of the way first.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I could do this for strictly emergency
Strictly
stuff.
for that.
Yeah,
Because that was we created it for that purpose, that we didn't have money to,
but yeah.
we're so used to paying emergency workers with our ERP grant money,
Right.
that when we had an emergency and we had to pay people, we didn't have any money for them.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The next item is we'll have residual money in office repair and maintenance. And we had stopped our service with UniFirst for the rugs. And we had wanted to buy heavy-duty water hog rugs for the town office, and we maintain them ourselves with some of that money.
Mhm.
And also if we could see if we could get some exterior painting done.
Mhm.
So that's that. Maybe fix the
And
sidewalk
fix
in the
the
front.
sidewalk that's supposed to have been done over a year ago.
We'll get to it.
Should we just hire somebody to do
Yes.
that? Okay. Office grounds and rubbish. We'll have money left over in that. At the end of the year, we'll have a call into Tyler to Higley to see if he'll come and let us know how much it would cost to get the garden beds in the front looking halfway decent and mulched so that they could just be maintained easily for a small price.
He
They're
did a good job on
wreck.
the bushes.
Did he do all that up there?
Yeah,
They look great.
I'm almost positive he did all that.
All right, yeah, our guy we've all been looking at him saying they look awful here. They really do. We have a lot of money left over in heating. That's my wacky idea.
I would, oh God.
The only reason I'm suggesting that is someday I'd love to apply for a grant for either solar or
I would be more inclined to prepay for much of fuel while the price is
Yeah.
not totally
All right.
high. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I'll see if I can do that.
yeah,
They might not let me do it.
yeah. But if you can't, we'll come back with it, because the
Okay.
price of fuel is starting to go
Yeah, I know
back
it
up,
is, and that's sort of what I had suggested. Did I put pre-buy or did I take that off there altogether? Oh, I guess I did. I originally had pre-buy on there.
Yeah.
They might not let us pre-buy this early. That's the
Yeah.
only thing,
Yeah.
and I don't know if they'll let us carry credit. And then we'll have the $2,500 unspent. Food for thought. I didn't know if there were special projects,
Yeah.
so
use or lose.
Mm-hmm.
That goes into a surplus at
It
the end
does
of
go
the
into
year,
a
right?
surplus.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
So am I good with 1 and 2? Which is moving the bookkeeper money around, and the second is the preservation fund?
Which one do you? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the rest you can think of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
You're gonna wait on
I mean,
listers, right?
yeah.
The
I'm
other
good
ones
with the second number 2 and the second number 3.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'm good with those 2. Get Tyler in here and
Oh, yeah.
get that done and repair the walk and
Yeah.
what needs to be painted on the front of the building, get it painted.
Yeah.
And the rear of the painting, the alcove there.
Yep.
There's not a lot of places to paint.
No, it's just the entrances.
the entrances, yeah.
Yeah.
Get them scraped down and painted, primed and painted. There should
It's a
be
shame
enough
that
room.
we even have those panels there on the sides.
Yeah, but the snow comes through there and just
Right.
hammers.
It was snowing in Manchester today, by the way.
Yeah,
So, would you mind putting forth a motion on those two?
okay.
Line item transfers as
Yeah.
laid out in 1 and 2.
I'd like to make the following motion that we approve line item transfers for number 1 and number 2. And then the following line items to get the front sidewalks, order the water hog mats, expert lawn care, and possible painting of what we need to get painted on the front entrances and side entrances of the building.
Town office.
Town office,
All in favor?
right?
Well, I guess we're gonna have to go to approving the
Warrant?
Warrants.
warrant.
I would like to make the
Mike's gonna fall asleep over that.
following motion that we pay warrants and payroll for 4/28/13 for $4,710.78. Payroll 5/5/13 for $4,285.12. Payroll for 5/13/13 for $5,736.87. Total of payroll for $14,732.77. Along with that, warrant number 20 for $12,894.12, and warrant 20A for $102,000, for a total of payroll and warrants of $129,626.89. And warrant 20A is just a pass-through,
Yes,
correct?
it is. That is the
Okay.
money for the
For the-
Community Development Program grant where we're just a pass-through.
Yeah, their money comes, the
They
money
spend
comes
the-
into us, they spend it, and it goes out the door, and we don't even.
Yep.
I won't make my usual. All in favor?
Aye.
Shall we hang on, let me just check one more time. Nope,
Nothing.
no. So why don't we just go ahead with the road and bridge standards?
Okay. It's not that
It
complicated.
isn't that complicated at all, and he and I went over it this morning. Ready?
There's that.
Covering up your microphone, sorry, Ian.
That's all right.
It's,
So, each year, is it each year?
No,
It's
no,
each year.
this is new.
Well, we adopted them in 2011, and we were
Yeah.
glad to have because
Yeah.
that helped us for our
Okay,
So,
it's
it
recent,
might-
I won't say.
It might be every 2,
Yeah.
actually. So, V-Trans puts out the town road and bridge standards that they would like towns to adopt. And if towns do adopt them, that becomes your regular standard, so that if you have an unusual event like Irene, FEMA will come in and see that you have them adopted, and that becomes what they will reimburse you to that standard.
Mm-hmm.
Some of ours are stricter, as outlined in our specs in our highway ordinance. this year, the standards include some specifications through Agency of Natural Resources that weren't there in the past.
Yes.
So it kind of adds an interesting twist. So standards and specifications for check dams, Vermont standards and specification for erosion prevention and sediment control. Talks about culverts and bridges and hydraulics and that sort of stuff. And the nice thing about this is if we adopt these and we lose sections of roadway, that if we knew we had to rebuild them and they needed a box culvert, that this is our standard, that if we were going to be replacing that as a project, we would have been using the standard. Ergo, FEMA has to also recognize it as our standard. So we would get, we would be able to up our project and get funding for it.
Okay.
One of the things that we changed, it was about the only thing that we changed, what came from the state was that all new or substantially reconstructed gravel roads shall have at least 12 inches thick processed gravel subbase. The standard was with an additional 3 inches, we made it 6. Minimum top course of crushed gravel, so that now, if it were to happen again, we would be reimbursed for 6 inches versus just, I think, 2 is what FEMA's given us. So that's that. Other than that, it's pretty much exactly the same.
Some of our standards are a little bit tougher than the state.
More
actually.
stringent. Yep.
Right. Right. I do remember that. And Danny's looked at this and everything like that.
We sat down this morning, went through the whole thing.
Okay. I make the motion that we accept the adoption for the Vermont Trans Roads and Bridge Standards. It's your turn to talk.
You want to? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Communications.
And we are going to have, if you don't mind, a executive session at the end.
Oh, we are?
We are, I'm sorry.
We are?
Would you? Yeah. It'll be worth it.
Oh, boy.
There'll be an actual
Pizza and all?
decision.
Beer?
We'll have sugar, as always. All right. There's a municipal dog control workshop, which Dick, Marianne, and Walter in trio will be heading up to Montpelier for.
We made
That's a dangerous
We
trio.
expect a full report if you ever return. There's the Vermont League Cities and Towns News. If anybody's interested, it's also available online.
Yep.
Wastewater permit issued for Franklin's on Butternut Hill Road, Guilford, pretty standard. There's an application for Carol 11. This is actually an amendment because the first one was incorrect that went through, but we've seen this one before as well. There's the regular memo, marking of center lines on class 1 and 2 paved roads. It's not our year. There will be a forum on Wednesday, May 15th. VTrans held in conjunction. Are you going to go to this? With the Wyndham Regional Commission.
Yeah.
Discussion on transportation. Brian Searles from the VTrans Secretary, Brian Searles will be there.
That's when Shirl's is going to be at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think Dick is attending. And then last but not least, there'll be a workshop on Tuesday, May 21st at Memorial Hall in Wilmington to learn about village revitalization with the Main Street approach. I will probably go to that.
And could you make me a couple copies of that?
I would love to.
Different somewhere.
Okay. I have some places to stick them as well.
Now you can make that
That's
move.
probably Dan.
I would. That is. I think it is, Danny.
It
is.
is Dan. Hang on, don't do that yet.
Hang on.
Hi.
Mr. Zabruski.
Hi guys.
Wow. Long time no see.
I apologize for Friday. I was out of town. I got mixed up in communication. I shouldn't have.
Do you want to give a quick little highway update?
Yeah.
Hi, buddy.
Where you want to start?
We kind of already did a lot. These boys are really quick here.
Well, I thought
A
we
lot.
had a whole bunch
Well,
of
we did have a big
people
agenda, but
here
they
tonight.
muscled right through it.
All right.
What time are you leaving Wednesday?
Probably what, 6:30?
Okay.
Good shot. I don't know, Troy, last week we had a meeting with the state, Yep. and we're getting some Highway 2 class 2 money. Mm-hmm. About a little over 160. Thank you very much. So I'm gonna do some paving. I'm gonna do from Algiers, from Route 5, all the way to Melody Hill? the Blueberry House. Up Melody Hill? No, Oh, no. okay. Then I'm gonna have them do structures, raise all the manholes and fix them all up. No more. Yeah, and then we're gonna go from where we left off down here at the town garage, and we'll go this way, as far as I can. Up School Road? I'm hoping. You don't wanna- you don't I'll wanna know. do school? Huh? You don't want to do school? We can go around the school. I mean, it's, I won't know until they come out and give me some kind of estimate on how much it's gonna be.
So, and School Road, that's the other portion. So Guilford Center
Yeah.
Road and School
Yeah.
Road. Okay.
Could, you widen that culvert down here without too much trouble? You're
We'd
gonna
have to dig
repave?
it all up,
You have to dig it all up.
lengthen it.
Yeah.
Oh, the one right there. Yeah, at the intersection.
Yeah. It's,
And also, structures money, right?
Who?
Structures money?
Oh yeah, we're gonna apply for a structure grant Mm-hmm. to do that wing wall over at the covered bridge. Dig that up and have somebody chink it with all the chink stone back in it on that Addison side, or what they call the west side. Oh,
it's,
It's actually not so much the bridge as
It's
that
the-
one wall. It's the one where the sinkhole
Yeah.
keeps reappearing.
because we had to go back over a couple weeks ago and that bridge. fill it back in again. I know.
Right.
And I haven't heard on how the Wyndham's doing on the our sign inventory.
I have
Let's
a meeting
ask our
tomorrow at
Wyndham
4.
Regional
I will
Commissioner.
bug them again.
Okay.
They haven't done anything yet.
They haven't done nothing?
No.
Okay. Because I got a bunch of signs I got to order.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to order them because I got a bunch of them missing again. So.
Is that from where the people stealing them?
Yeah. Yeah. So. Our road grading, we'll have Bonnie Field Road done tomorrow. The only thing I'll have left will be Guilford Street, South Street, Marinette, Packers Corners, and Sweets Pond.
That stage road, that's nice, you know, that's just like 91.
Guilford, Taylor Lane and
Yeah.
Creamery Road. Actually, I still call it Guilford Street and South Street.
Yeah.
What roads are remaining? I'm sorry.
Creamery, South Street. Or
And then we have up around by Barney Hill left to do yet, but we've been ditching them and
Yeah.
grading them and chloriding them right after we get done, so it's taking a little bit longer to get around, but at least they're done. Actually, they're all holding up
They're holding up real good.
real good. That rain actually was a blessing Yeah. because it helped Oh,
Keep people from sliding all over the place.
other than that, that's about it. I got tri-state asphalt sealing, going to measure cracks to see how much we got to do. Of course, he's not going to measure where we're going to pave, so.
All the equipment's holding up all right?
Yeah, everything's holding up good. Wednesday we're going to that meeting up in Barry. That's the equipment.
Oh, the yearly.
Yeah, the equipment show.
You will not try to buy a grader, Richard. No.
You know, you do tractor with a big bent mower on it.
Other than that, it's pretty much all the structure grant was good news. I didn't think we were going to get any money,
I
and
don't
that
think
was.
we're gonna get any anywhere.
That's good.
I mean, the structure and the highway. So, well, we definitely got the class 2 money, but I mean, the structure one we won't know yet.
Good. That section of road's been beat up. Let's face it. I mean, the blacktop's not like it used to be.
And I do have some money left over from mud season. I'm going to start graveling a few roads, and as soon as we get done grading them up.
Is that,
And then I still got money left from retreatment.
that I didn't do any retreatment, I wanna spend some money on gravel too.
Is that the fuel money part of town garage also?
No.
No.
Oh, it's all here.
All here. I haven't looked that hard at highway yet.
This-
This carries over, so it's not.
Yeah, the fuel money left over, I suggested trying to pre-buy it before the prices went sky high again, so.
We still got another month and a half to go yet, so.
Cool.
Basically, that's about it.
Thank you for,
You still want that information?
Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
thank you for showing up.
Yeah.
They already
In my
adopted.
text that I sent you, I don't know what I did.
You just hit send.
I just hit
There's
the
nothing there,
send
like
button and
Like,
Your fingers are fat like mine.
yeah.
That's how we didn't like.
Well,
steal
the
your
battery
phone.
is about dead on
Okay.
anyway, so.
All right. Well, we kind of pushed things off, and then we went back and forth. They adopted the 2013 standards.
Yep.
Told them really the only change that you made was boosting
Just
the
the-
3 inches to
right.
the 6 inches, and explain the A&R pieces that are in there now are to our benefit. And that's about it. Thank you for adding that part about structures and
Yep.
totally.
Yeah, so that was pretty good news on that as far as
Mm.
when they came out. I didn't think we were going to get nothing this year because we got some a couple of years ago, so.
I didn't think we'd get any money from anything.
Oh,
I was really surprised when you said
No.
that. Okay.
They heard you've been doing a good job.
yeah.
I've heard all good things about the way the roads are, so.
I mean, this, the worst one we got right now is Packers Corners. That's rough. It is rough. But I told the one guy who lives up there, I said, we're ditching them and grading them up. No, I know you're coming. No. That's all I got, unless you guys got any
Nope.
questions, answers. Okay. And of course, this is the odd year for our line striping.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want line striping done, I have to pay for it.
Get Dick out there with the yellow can spray paint.
And they said the state's not doing it.
No,
Get a couple
and like
separate
next
check.
year because the state usually does it every other year,
Mm-hmm.
and what state's just doing their own stuff. They contract out all the towns.
So how much that usually run?
They still pay for it, but I mean it's
Yeah, but
it's
if
done
we
by
had
a.
to do it, how much?
Oh, you'd be looking. Oh Jesus. 15,000 probably to do your edge lines and your center lines. I think just the edge lines last year was like what 8.
So,
It's not cheap.
you figure out who cut that ash tree up with,
Where
the Briggs?
it fell down. Took the wires down over the weekend.
So
She said it was on Sunday.
Yeah.
It happened. So, evidently, the power company went over there to set it broke the wires.
Well, I was, yeah, I see it laying there, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
We were just going,
I'd like to motion that we go into executive session and invite one Katie Buckley.
Okay, I'm out of here.
Thank you.
We all set? See you all tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
all in favor, aye? Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
At 7:51 p.m.
Yeah, how long? The executive session was about hiring
Personnel.
someone for a short-term project. And we didn't want to release the name.
There's no.
There's no motion, no
Decision
action
yet.
to be taken at this point. Just a discussion. And Troy,
I make the motion to adjourn.
all in favor?
Aye.
I think this is all right.